The energy is different. There's a quiet in the air now that we're doing Swimfans After Dark.
Yeah, listener, we're 2 hours after our normal record time, and it's time to get spooky.
So all filters are off. We're gonna start saying the real fucked up stuff.
yeah, baby. It's past our bedtimes. We had 2 glasses of warm milk tonight. We're gonna put an extra log on the fire. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go.
I ate 2 cookies instead of 1.
I got that nightcap on that makes me look like a fucking slut.
Yeah. Craig's wearing the feety pajamas that Mother says is strictly only for Saturdays.
I got the onesie pajama on with the ass flap for easy access.
Yeah, flap open.
Hello and welcome to Swimfans. This is Swimfans Unknown Pleasures, your installment for the week. I'm your co-host. Stab yourself in the eye. Do it. I'm Josh McKenzie.
Oh, but both these kids had it coming. I'm Craig Neeson.
Look under the bed. It's me, Jennifer Hawking.
This week on Unknown Pleasures, we are talking 2022 Kyle Edward Ball film, Skinamarink.
Just do it.
So if you've not seen Skinamarink, this movie is about 2 children, Kevin and Kaylee. And at the start of the film, Kevin is sleepwalking and he falls and hurts himself. So they go to the hospital and they come home. And then when Kaylee and Kevin awake next, things are different in the house. First of all, their dad is just gone. And additionally, and even more upsettingly, all of the doors and windows of the house are gone. So it's just like blank walls where doors and windows would be. The phones don't work. Like you can't get any phone. You can't get a line out from the house. And amusingly, the toilet is gone. I don't know why. That just seems kind of mean. So the kids are like, well, that's strange. Do you want to sleep in the living room together? So the brother and sister sort of camp out in the living room, and there's this sort of constant, ongoing rotation of like public domain cartoons playing in the living room. Eventually, things start to get a little stranger. Kaylee, a voice begins to call out to her. So she goes up to her parents' room, and she sees like a sort of hazy image of her father, which tells her to look under the bed, and she does. She sees nothing. She looks up, and she instead sees her mother on the opposite end of the bed. And her mother is like trying to tell her something, but then Kaylee the image of the mother says something like, "Oh, there's somebody here," and so Kaylee looks into like the closet of the room, and she hears like some gross like bone breaking, snapping sounds. And then she obviously she's scared by this, so she runs out of the room and back down to be with her brother. They again sort of like camp out for a while, and then Kaylee disappears. Kevin goes to look for her, and he goes down to the basement, beckoned by the voice once more, and he finds Kaylee, but her eyes and her mouth are gone. So she just has like a smooth flesh face where her eyes and her mouth would be. Kevin, all things considered, handles this pretty well, I guess. He goes back up to the living room, sort of the home base, and a voice begins to call out to him, but he's sort of like ignoring it or not responding to it. And then finally the voice is like, look, I want to play. So come into the kitchen, take this knife out and stab yourself in the eye, which Kevin obliges. So Kevin, obviously he's in pain and bleeding. So he tries to, again, call 911. And the phone turns into like a toy phone. And like the voice, the entity or whatever is like, oh yeah, I can just do whatever. Your sister, she didn't follow my instructions, so I took her mouth away. So, we're just going to hang out. I'll protect you, I think it says at one point. And then it tells Kevin to come upstairs. And then the movie gets kind of like especially strange. Like it seems like Kevin is just like wandering through like rooms, like going from room to room, and then there's like a caption that comes up that says like day 572 or something, implying that Kevin has just been like walking for a long time. Like, there's like toys on the ceiling and on the walls, all strange stuff. And then the last scene of the movie here is like he ends up in the void, and a face materializes from the ceiling, and it tells Kevin to go to sleep. And Kevin tries to ask it what its name is. He asks that a few times, and the thing just sort of stares back at him. And then the movie ends. What do we think of Skinamarink?
I brought this. Overall, I think I liked Skinamarink. I think I was uniquely affected by it because the night before I watched it, I had a really horrible nightmare where me and friend of the pod Eric Nelson were hanging out, and we wanted to watch like an old VHS tape of a movie. I don't really remember which one, but it was like one we used to watch a lot. And then one of the previews on the tape was one of those like banned from TV Mondo videos where they just like compile like horrible shit, like grisly, like caught on news murders, cartel
like
beheadings
style shit,
like needle torture. And we were like, oh yeah, forgot about the 3 minutes of human suffering you have to sit through before you can get to the rest of the movie. So we sat there for a really long time, hands held in front of our faces while like the worst screams my subconscious could imagine blared out of his TV. I think there was a mirror next to me, so I could still kind of see it. Woke up, couldn't sleep for an hour. Long story short, I was primed and ready to watch Skinamarink. And I think I admire more about it than I find annoying. But there's a lot that's kind of in both columns. Like big criticism I have is like I think they just fucked up the grain in a major way. I think we'll get to that later. I loved the kind of like focus on like how it would like linger on abstract images, the way it would embrace like unusual light sources. I think there are scenes that are just like deeply unsettling to watch in a way that goes beyond just jump scares. I think that's absolutely an element here. It's a movie that has like a bunch of jump scares in it, but I think that's fine. I thought they mostly earned them. Like I think the best one was the look under the bed sequence that we were talking about, and because like by the time it happens, we're already set up that it's gonna have jump scares, so we're already kind of like waiting for it. But then just kind of like holds you there for like 5 minutes or something. Like it really kind of like twists that knife like really really slowly. Like all that tension is agonizing. I don't know. I'll go into that more later with you guys and everything. I think that there is an element of the horror in this that I don't like, and it's much more closely aligned to like creepypasta nonsense. I struggle to explain this, but I think it's like something that happens a lot in like more recent horror films by like younger directors. But there's something just kind of like lame I find in like the directness of creepypasta. I think it really really inelegantly wields horror imagery. In Skinamarink, when the voices like cut your eyeballs out or whatever, it's just like, I don't know, it's too direct or something. Like the horror that was really working for me in the movie up to that point was like this sort of like unseen presence. It's like making gravity act weird, and like to solidify it as like actually it's a creepy guy loses me a bit. I just prefer the more abstract stuff. I think it's more interesting than like Evil Toy Phone or whatever. That might just be me. Overall though, I liked it, and I really thought it was cool how much the filmmakers were able to like accomplish with like extremely little resources, and I thought that was like the most interesting part. So yeah, I liked it.
To echo almost everything Jennifer said, the grain problem is a big problem. I similarly am confronted with a desire to separate the creepypasta from what I think is absolutely fascinating and compelling, which is the quantum house. The quantum house that is has trapped the children, and I think as the movie goes on, I think there's an over-reliance or kind of a snapping to a formula where it's there's an entity in the house, and the entity is terrorizing the children. It's infinitely more terrifying when there isn't like a locatable entity. I mean, the most successful part of the film is the look under the bed sequence, because Kaylee obliges her father, looks under the bed, gets back up, and then looks at her father, and then she looks under the bed again, then she gets back up, and it's a really subtle thing, and it's not even really a jump scare. It's just her father has been displaced by her mother on the other side of the bed. There's a waiting. There's a kind of agony in the waiting and the looking here. I think the soundtrack is fantastic. All these whistles and bangs and pops and the kind of chatter of these cartoons mixed with these really fascinating shots of just the interior of a home. There's really interesting kind of like, I want to call them fake outs, but it's like we'll be seeing a kind of a light, and then we'll see like a different light source kind of illuminate it, and we understand like what is ground and what is wall. Like the film will kind of like reveal through illumination what exactly we're looking at on a number of occasions. I think a lot of my reaction to it is quite personal. It really does. I think I have a galaxy brain thing to say about it, which I'll say, but I think it does capture in a really elegant way what it's like to be afraid as a child, or how a child learns to be afraid even. I think it's really impressive, and I wanna fault it. I wanna hand it some really big L's. But ultimately, I think it shakes out to be a really fascinating experiment.
Yeah, this is my second time with Skinamarink. I saw it in theaters when it came out. It was one of those that like came across. It was dropped into my water dish, right? So I lapped it up like a dog. So this is sort of my second time with the movie. I would say I broadly agree with most of what you're saying. I also think the look under the bed scene is the creepiest, and like like the smoothed over face of the sister is like a little much, I suppose. I don't think like the stab yourself in the eye thing is like, I agree that it like lacks the subtlety or sort of the vagueness of what makes the movie successful. But like, I guess I do want to sort of stick up for like sort of this idea of like, okay, you're a young child who's been left unsupervised, and you've like hurt yourself, and now you don't know what to do about that. Like whether that's like intense pain, or there's like blood involved or whatever. Like as a kid, I mean, I never like, I don't think I've ever like maimed myself, but like when I was a little kid, I like sprained my wrists and ankles a lot. I was like a gangly kid. So I remember one time I was like home alone, and I had like sprained my ankle, and I was just like, I mean, I could like get up. It wasn't like that bad, but I was just like, I was home alone, and I was in like a lot of pain, and there was nobody that I could like call or like do anything about. So like, while I do think there's like a creepypasta element to it, I think the idea of like, being hurt and bleeding while also being alone is sort of like a texture that I don't find completely out of sync with the rest of the movie. I love when he becomes like a face at the end. I think that's fun. I like when the face just looks at him for a while. I think that's creepy. I like the face. Yeah, I mean, like this is fun for like I mean this literally like baby's first house of leaves. Like if like before the house of leaves becomes an entire house, this is like a room of leaves. Kind of fun. I mean, I think like in terms of like an experimental horror movie, a lot of big swings here were taken. Like the first time I saw the movie, I got my hands on like a screener, and so Matt and I were watching it on our projector, and like we were like 20 minutes in and I was falling asleep, man, because it's a very like slow movie that it's like shots of like the corners of hallways, not even hallways, just the corners of hallways. And so I was like falling asleep, but I'm like, I really want to see this through. So I ended up going to see it in theaters to make sure I would like stay awake and engaged with the movie.
Yeah.
So like, the movie is definitely taking swings. I admire the slowness. Like it's an excruciating slowness, as you both sort of mentioned. Like if you haven't seen it, like there's like maybe 10 shots in the movie that like contain a human figure. Like for the most part, it's where a ceiling meets a wall. It's that incredible, like 3-second clip of animation where that rabbit keeps like dematerializing himself. Like,
Oh
it's
God,
like the
that
demon's,
ruled.
yeah, it's the demon's favorite cartoon. It just keeps playing it over and over. Yeah, so like, it's these really long takes. And actually, while I was watching it this time, it's not that the takes themselves are long. Like, they'll maybe be like a minute and a half, maybe 2.5 minutes long. But like each take is sort of the same as the previous take, so it has the feel of being very long takes, even though they're not, I would say, technically maybe not that long. But I mean, yeah, you do so much with so little. Like, it's just a camera, you set it up in a dark hallway, and this sort of like high gain, like whispering the children are doing, the distortion on the entity's voice, all of it feels really tactile and impressive. And except for when it might get a little too specific, I think the movie doesn't go the way that like every modern horror movie has to go now, where it either like explains itself to you or it overplays its hand and it's just no longer scary anymore. I'm looking at you, Hokum.
Yeah.
So like it even though like in maybe not every beat landed perfectly, I think for the most part it keeps a level of restraint that I think is required for horror to work. So yeah, I mean, I think this is great. I admire what it did with what it had. And a movie that's about hallways could be just fucking dreadful, and they avoided that. So
Yeah, much closer to PT in terms of horror hallways.
mm-hmm.
Jennifer, do we want to just get the fucking clear the air with the grain?
The film grain?
I want you guys to go the fuck off.
Josh, when you watched it this time, did you notice after we mentioned it?
No, but again, I watched it on a projector, and I do feel that the grain blends a little more on a projector than on like your OLED or something.
So like a really big thing about human brains is that we're really, really good at recognizing patterns, right? That's like, it's like kept us alive for fucking millennia. It's one of our greatest assets. These grain loops are not particularly long. They're maybe like 10 or 15 seconds, and they boomerang back and forth. And the thing with boomeranging back and forth is that, and I don't think that they considered this, is that if you're putting a loop back to back to back, there's going to be a duplicate frame. There's going to be a duplicate frame of grain that stutters. So not
especially if you are holding on a shot for a very long time.
Right.
So if it's a static shot where the lighting's very similar, sometimes it'll just look like the image freezes rather than having some sort of like continuous motion to distract from it.
Right. So it's as though like the actual film itself stutters, which of course it doesn't. It's the grain. It's that those two duplicate frames right next to each other, and I even without that little like tempo keeping stutter, there's still that recognition of a pattern, right? Suddenly in this what we understand to be like amorphous and random grain pattern. Patterns emerge, right? You'll see like a little C-shape scratch, and then the C-shape will come back, and you'll see it in a rhythm. And there's something, this is my first time watching it through. I watched 10 minutes of it, and I'm like, I'm really not in the mood for this, years ago. And I finally sat down with it, and I was like, holy shit, they just found some grain loops, and they overlaid it. They did some kind of overlay, and I could not, like at certain points, I could not distract myself from seeing the pattern. It's not that I'm like pedantic and rule followy and being like, they're like, they're not making a film good, but it feels like something. I mean, the grain is so necessary to like the functioning of the film. The film has this like analog quality, right? We're so interested in looking. We're interested in the VHS magnetic tape thing. And like Josh said, the children, they're like they're super close to the mic, and it like adds this like intimacy. So all these sort of like analog things that give the film texture. Suddenly, it's like revealed to be digital artifice, and it pokes a little hole in the fucking balloon of the film, and and at some moments I feel it shriveling down into a little fucking rubber, limp phallus, and it sucks. I just wish they found longer grain loops, essentially.
Yeah, it's like, I get that they probably wanted like a very specific type of grain texture, which it would probably be like difficult to replicate. But I do think that there would be ways you could like mix it up that wouldn't take too long, that would like be worth it, because it wouldn't, because like watching the movie, and like sometimes they actually do flip it, they'll like horizontal flip the grain, but like watching it, it's literally like, okay, it'll be like splotch splotch crescent moon shape big splotch, and then it'll be like big splotch crescent moon spot splotch, and then like there's like
you're watching the Matrix monitor.
I mean, so I'm a video editor, so it's like it is kind of my job to notice stuff like that. But like I also know that whoever edited his job was also video editor, and I think they could have done a better job at it, because because when it's like repeating for like the 30th time in like a 3-minute take, you really start to question like, why didn't you just loop it a different way? Why didn't you like do one instance forward, flip it, one instance of that, and then like keep kind of like cut it in half, put the back half first? Like you could do things to vary the patterns in the make it like a little less consistent and predictable about like which areas are going to splotch in the immediate future. Like it would just make it a little easier for me. And like I also know that I'm a freak, and no other review I read on Letterboxd mentioned this.
Some people, like 2 people that I follow, mentioned it. So it's not just us.
Yeah, okay, thank fuck, man. I was like,
damn it, Craig. I was gonna say you can get this coverage nowhere else but Swimfans. Craig, have them delete their reviews.
It's. I feel stupid and crazy pointing it out, because it shouldn't be a big deal, because it shouldn't take that much away from the movie, which again I like. I just think that it's a movie about looking at like static images and like grain texture in a way that I would compare to like Stan Brakhage or something. Like it's very much about like the textures of the presentation, and to fumble one of like the major visual elements of your film, which is about looking at the corners of a hallway, just feels fucking sloppy to me, and I want them to revise it. I think they could just do a new export and send it to the digital storefronts. I don't think anyone would notice, but it would save everyone in the future. It's not like in like a George Lucas way, just, clean it up a little.
Well, let me ask you this, because I can't imagine the expense for like a loop of static, or not static, film grain could be like that expensive. Would there have been like a problem with simply acquiring perhaps 3 or 4 loops that you would randomly move between, or something, like between cuts of the movie? Or like a longer one? Like, is there any sort of like prohibitive nature to that they couldn't have just done that?
I feel like they could have created their own.
That was my thinking. I will say the grain was chunky. It was probably like some sort of like high ISO film stock or something. But like, and I know it was like really low budget. It was like $1,500 or something, I think, or $15,000. Sorry. But like, yeah, they should have done that. They should have tried something else. But like, it is a very distinctive kind of like film grain. So like maybe just finding that exact like texture is difficult. But like, I don't know. I just think they could have figured something out.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, right? I think they've probably found something that they liked, something that they felt gelled with the film, but were then limited by just the length. And that problem again would have been obviated by making their own, by like, you know, I don't know, taking a magnetic tape, you know, old you know, digital magnetic tape and fucking with it, or like, yeah, shooting you know, like a couple 100 feet of film. But again, you know, this is I'm trying to like problem solve for something that they obviously like maybe don't care about. But it's just
But they should.
They should. No. I agree 100%. They should, because the grain is like a fucking character. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
in this movie, definitely.
Yeah, and it's so critical to the way that it functions, and the fact that it isn't actually random, the fact that it has very obvious patterns, sucks ass.
And the loop. And the double frame at the loop point is like, see, it's just so sloppy.
Yeah,
like,
right.
just cut the fucking last frame off.
Exactly. You zoom in, you cut that, you trim that frame off. The stutter's gone. So at the very least, you know, in that kind of attentiveness in the edit, you could have stopped that little stutter. You know, as someone who made GIFs on GIFs on GIFs. In undergrad, just to like not be anxious in between going to class, you know, like I understood that for a GIF to loop appropriately, you have to get rid of that duplicate in Photoshop on the timeline, and like, you know, I would notice when people didn't do it, you know, where there would be that stutter. It just it feels just. Yeah, sloppy. Yeah. In an otherwise like, but sorry, I guess we could just dwell on this forever. And
we really could.
Yeah. But like, just like, you know, I think like a lot of what, you know, we've said, in spite of this, it does amazing things with, you know, the way that little hall light flickers, or the way the television light you know, dances on like the couch or the blankets or the Legos. You know, that singular source of light, you know, towards the end is the television, and the television is also a kind of character too. You know, it's doing Plato's cave shit in that in the living room, and you know, like. You know, some of the shots are kind of cool, right? They're a lot of the film is very cool, but some of them are warm. They're kind of pinkish, and like I think they do a really good job of color grading this in a way that feels, how do I say this? Like, not super affected. You know, like in the way that like you know, shooting something kind of stock might result in a cool temperature, or might result in a slightly warm or pink temperature. Like, it feels very naturalistic in that way, where they're not like over egging it, if that makes sense. You know, it's not like gunmetal blue, you know, it's not gunmetal blue like some of these fucking erotic thrillers that we've seen. You know, it has the quality of home video. You know, I think obviously this film is it doesn't exist without the lattice work and support of Blair Witch, right? But and there's like an attentiveness to that you know, home video style, especially when, you know, the camera deviates to a literal point of view shot of like slow walking. I think it handles color and lighting like so well. And I think that's why, you know, I get a little animated about the grain, is because it handles these things so well that I don't want it to do that.
Right.
Well, yeah, and I think that's like an important distinction to make. Like, I didn't notice the grain. I didn't even notice the grain when it was pointed out to me. But that's not my trade. I don't know how to, if I, you know, used grain or like understood more of this editing process, I would probably have noticed it. But the things that I do understand and work with every day. So, I mean, as like an analog here, like comics and animation have, they're both media that you can just completely get lost in the details in. You can render things infinitely. You can refine you can refine emotion infinitely, right? But things take time, and things take money, and things take physical labor. So at some point you have to say, this is enough to communicate the idea. This is not interfering with the image. This is getting the point across. And as an artist, you make those decisions. What I imagine must have happened is that, the people behind Skinamarink saw, there are a bunch of Josh McKenzie's watching this movie. They're not going to fucking care. Like, it's good enough. But they didn't count on people with a different sort of eye watching. And like Craig said earlier, I don't think that would matter if the grain wasn't such an important character. Like, there is like 60% of the movie, that's the only movement in the frame, is the film grain. So, like, I mean, if it's not a scene with a cartoon playing, and if it's not one of a dozen scenes where there's a human figure in it, the only movement is the film grain. So, like, I would argue that because this movie is so Spartan in its imagery, that does become a priority. Like, I would say, like, it's this movie's version of like having your main character off model, noticeably off model. Like, it becomes a continuity problem. It becomes something that is breaking the illusion, breaking like the immersion, sort of taking you out of the fiction for a minute, which is, kind of the worst thing that can happen. So, like, even though it didn't affect me, because it's so vital to like the fabric of this movie, I think they should have not assumed that everybody that only imbeciles would be watching, and should have done a longer loop, should have done various different clips. It doesn't sound like it would have been very hard to do. I did look though, and I could not see it. I'm like, oh, I see a scratch, and then I'm like, I'm going to be looking for that.
You're so
scratch.
real for that, honestly.
I mean, it's just, I think pattern recognition. There's one sequence that I quite like is when we're seeing photographs of Kaylee, and she's been her like face has been removed from these photographs. But there's one image. All of them actually kind of kill, but there's one image where you can see the clone stamp, where you can see the repeating grain texture of the clone stamp tool. Where they've
notice that.
Yeah, where they pulled, and you can see like little swaths of the Photoshop where they pulled from, but they just repeated the texture. It reminds me of that was it like a Reuters image that was, artificially enhanced to make it this whatever explosion look like way more smoky and intense, and the photographer basically got fucking thrown out.
Just did a JPEG of smoke and just pasted it all over the place.
Literally just took like plumes of smoke and just clone stamped them, and we're submitting this the scrutiny of probably the finest photographers on the planet, and it's they're gonna notice, man. It's just there's, and I think, and I'm coming at it hard because I know that and I feel bad because I know that this is a scrappy production. But it does some things that are so in my mind deeply sophisticated, just in terms of not showing us the children, showing us the movement of objects, right? That they're pushing the buckets into place because the toilet has disappeared, or they're moving their Legos, or the quantum house is pulling things away and putting them on the ceiling. It's doing some things that are so fucking elegant that it's oh, you have mastery over this part of the movie, and then you have none over here. I'm seeing what I would absolutely call mastery, in motion, and then to see like a bag fumble that's so obvious. It's
Well, Craig, have you considered that the monster brought all the photos into Photoshop to edit them himself?
I mean, it did say that it has the power to do anything, so it's probably very good at the Adobe
Clone
Suite.
tool is anything.
Yeah, exactly.
That is true. That is an action. but for real, why were they so like that? I mean, because I I may not know film grain, but I certainly know image editing. And it's even in like this like lo-fi hazy image, you can see the artifacts, and it's why? I don't understand why. Like, it would have taken you an extra 4 minutes to do it correctly, or at least, because I think there was a wide margin of error where you wouldn't really have noticed, because again, the image is sort of hazy. It's quite grainy. I mean, the images are on screen for a pretty decent amount of time, but like, you could have probably made it almost invisible, but you seem to have chosen this. And I wonder, and I think, and that sort of is what gives me like the creepypasta feel more even than the eye stabbing, is these like little moments where the attention to detail isn't as sharp as other moments.
Right.
Because that's like the hallmark of creepypasta for me, where you have like a good setup, you might even have a scary idea, but it's always something wrong. Like you've given your evil Mickey Mouse mascot costume. You've given it a line of dialogue, which is a crazy thing to do. You just do these things that make your little horror story completely impossible or silly. The worst thing to have done is make it silly. And that's sort
why
of
is
the
Squidward talking like a Clive Barker character? Like, it just doesn't.
Right. And it's like it's like those sort of like moments where the attention to the detail either flags, or I mean, in those instances it could also be a taste issue, but like it just seems like you have everything is working, just keep up that like fine eye and you'll get it over the finish line.
Like it establishes like a grammar and a tempo of, again, hallways, and I don't think that this movie is like paced poorly. I think it actually keeps my attention really well. And again, it's showing you the same shit over and over again. Like even the same like locales. Like there's there's that like room that has like the hardwood paneling on it, right? Like we're not getting like super exciting new things all the time to feast on. We're getting the same house over and over again. But I don't think that there's a pacing issue, and that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's like, again, it's a demonstration of just like an understanding of I mean, it on paper, this movie is antagonistic to the audience, right? Like it's like I don't have a lot to show you, so you're gonna look at hallways a lot. On paper, that's fucking awful, right? But like
that's crazy on paper.
but they do it. They make it live. They make the quantum house come alive. And I really want to, even though I'm coming in hot on a lot of things, I wanted to state that, like, the filmmaker has managed to create like just like a magnificent thing in some pockets. It's such a brilliant, simple idea. These two children, and again, like the narrative or something is one that I think, looking at reviews on Letterboxd, a lot of people are speaking through like their experiences as children, right? Like they're really, and I'm one of them too, where it's like, my first experience like of horror, of like what I'm afraid of like, the idea of like boundaries and obedience. I mean, it happens in the home first, right? Like the parental authority, like telling you to do things or not telling you to do things. The understanding of like terror through your house at night, right? The way that like a shadow gets cast from the hallway into your bedroom. Like I used to have this dream when I was a kid, this like recurring dream where I was in my bedroom, but I would gently float down the stairs into the kitchen, down the basement stairs, through the basement, into this a boiler that was old and it wasn't used anymore. That I was just afraid of this room, and I would float into the room, and the door would close behind me, and that was it. That was fucking it. It was just it was just the house. It was just existing in the house, that like looking under the bed. And like, I think the voice like the voice, and I love the subtitles. I think the subtitle is such a the hard coded subtitles is such a fantastic move, and I love that it's really only deployed when what they're saying is like maybe a little ambiguous and needs the assistance of subtitles, which like adds a Blair Witch, faux kind of realism to the whole ordeal. But that idea of the house being that one's first brush with like what is scary, your parents' room is like forbidden. Actually, I'm back on my train of thought. The voice, the compelling voice, I think in my mind is best read as something that's internal, right? Like I can almost get around stab yourself in the eye if I understand it as
an intrusive thought.
An intrusive thought, an intrusive childlike thought that you might have, right? Like, I think or look under the bed, what one is like terrified of, what one is scared of, coming back in a perverse way that it's actually like, it's pushing you towards the thing that's frightening. It's like, do that thing, go to that place, look under the bed, stab yourself in the eye. And that like, the isolation and the understanding of the world through a child's eyes, which is like necessarily like has its like hard nucleus core in the home, right? Like the world is big and scary and like abyssal, but like the house is like the like ground zero for that, if that makes sense, like your understanding of the world is through like the house and the mechanics of like how the house functions. Gravity holds things down. My toy is there, but like the toy's on the ceiling, or like the toilet's gone, so we need the buckets. Like there's something very elegantly observed about just being a child, I think, in this film.
I think I really want to add on to what you're saying as well, because like I think the genius of the movie is that the vagueness gives you so many ways to experience this. I think that's why everybody seemingly has a reaction to like being scared as a child to this movie, because it's so vague and abstract. Kind of like anything that happened to you as a kid, you can read from this movie. Like you can read the dad vanishing as a parent who passed away. You can read it as a divorce even. You can read the mother's strange behavior as like a parent with like depressive symptoms like I have, or you could read it as a parent with like quite severe mental illness that children struggle with. You could read it as all of these different sort of I guess like the RNG of like childhood traumas that like you're going to aggregate just because like as you grow up bad things happen. And the vagueness of the movie, I think, makes it so like no matter how good or bad of a childhood you had, you were definitely afraid, and this movie is vague enough that you bring that feeling with you because the imagery is relatable in some way. And I think that's an exceptionally hard line to walk. So as much as I was like pay fucking attention to the details, I do have to admit it's very impressive that they're able to I think find this like horoscope basically for like childhood fear, that like anything can be read in any way to make it reminiscent of any childhood, or at least a Western American Canadian childhood. And I think that's such like a delicate line to walk without going too one way or the other, or not being scary enough, because like if you don't have upsetting imagery, then it's not scary. But they managed to have the imagery itself be vague enough, like the what seems like the mother getting like twisted into a shape is like off screen, and you just hear the sounds, which in and of itself becomes metaphorical. Yeah, and so like as much as I just like my co-host picked on this movie, I do think that's an incredibly hard tonal line to walk, and I think it pulls it off pretty pretty completely. I can see how this movie reminds me of my childhood in like small ways, I guess. I didn't have like a big childhood reaction to this, but like you get a little bit. But I can also see how it could be like a metaphor for a very profoundly traumatic childhood as well. And there's all sorts of room in between that I think you could read. So yeah, I absolutely agree, Craig.
Yeah, I think the read that's like most powerful to me, and maybe even not specific to my experience, but it is like the abandonment of children by their parents, right? You know, they're like forced to cobble together like meaning in some kind of structure. You know, there's like one shot of where they've like taken like Wheaties with no milk, right? And you know, they've eaten. You know, they've like solved that solution of the like hygiene by finding the bucket, right? There's the kind of like children being left alone to figure their own way out, right? Like there's like absenteeism in the parental figures, but they're still commanding, right? Like there's like an authority structure, but it's like a fucking Kafka, you know? It's like the is it The Man from the Country, where Kafka's father's like, but more really, you're a terrible person, and then the Kafka protagonist throws himself off a bridge. You know, like there's like an authority, but it's at once like absent, at the same time that it's like so compelling that it can tell you to sleep and you just fucking fall asleep. You know, like there's an absenteeism, but it's also a looming threat at the same time. It's just, I don't know, that to me it just captures that like the fumbling misunderstanding of being a child and navigating like a space with rules that your parents have set, or like the like regulating like superego thing, and like the punctures through that or something. I don't know. I think it captures being fucking afraid as a kid real well. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it wields the images of the parents so well too, of like establishing that they're gone. You know, they're probably not coming back, and then they're back, but like, I don't know if compromised is the right word, but like there's clearly something fucking wrong with them. I think that it, like, when they show back up in that scene, it's fucking terrifying, because it's like something's so off here. Like something is so haunted about the presence of them that like even though they are there, it's worse that they're there. That's really smart. It's really well done.
Yeah, and the fact that they're never like together, the fact that they're sitting on their opposite sides of the bed, you know, it invites that read of divorce. It invites that read of like a, you know, being kind of victim to like a dissolving or cold or like violent marriage. Like I think, you know, in that way it manifests like a Rorschach test that, like, you know, in some kind of way, yeah, like Josh had said, like, I mean, the architecture is very specifically like North American. I don't know. There's probably places in Europe that also have houses that look like fucking this or whatever. But you know, but I think there's something like a universalization of, navigating like the unknowns and the fears of children.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, like, one last compliment to this movie, I think like the vagueness or like sort of the unknowability, the fogginess of it all, I think is subtle and frankly I think artistic about like how children perceive horrors, right? Like, I mean, you get these sort of like concrete scares, like when Kaylee sees like an icky hand curl around the closet, and that's like obviously scary for every age for every age. You hate to see a hand where
Yeah.
there shouldn't be a hand.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. You nobody likes to see it. But like this sort of like vagueness. Otherwise, like, I mean, all of the blood in this movie is completely detached from a body. It's detached from a wound. It's detached from an injury, because like, I think if you're 4, like Kevin is in this movie, I don't know that you necessarily know that every time you cut yourself, like the blood is going to pour from your body. And so like you sort of see these things as like detached images, because you've not yet sort of found this intrinsic cause and effect to all things in the world. So like you get these sort of like detached things, like, oh, the toys are wrong. You can't explain why the toys are wrong. Like in the movie, that's, you know, reflected by them being like stuck to the wall. But like, I mean, I think you could easily, you know, have your mind bloom like a lotus flower and just say like, there's a heavy atmosphere in the room. Like my parents were perhaps currently just finishing a screaming match, and the room is heavy with that. And so like the room feels wrong. And like, so like the sort of like floating signifiers, the sort of like detached, from body, detached from source, imagery. It feels so, clever, I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't think I would have thought of it in a million years, but that feels like it speaks the language of a very young child to me, who doesn't yet put everything together to understand what's happening, or even begin to understand what's happening. It's great. Wonderful job, Kyle.
Well done, Kyle.
Props, Kyle.
Just the grain. Just tweak that grain just a little bit. Just lock that thing in. Got yourself a stew going.
I like the spooky phone. I know that, Jennifer, you didn't much care for the spooky phone.
I
liked
wasn't
the spooky
crazy
phone.
about the spooky phone. What if a toy phone was fucked up?
But like but it's just the phone. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they made it like face morph into like an evil sneer.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
Like it just start like the Bloomhouse black eyes, big mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
It's better than
I think,
that.
Yeah. What saves it for me is like, that's just the toy, and it's like, well, maybe some toys are just upsetting. I like the spooky phone.
Sure. I have some like incredibly stupid notes.
Hit
Go.
me.
It's a strange mix of like late 70s, early 80s aesthetics for something that's set in 1995. Not sure why, you know, but I noticed that.
The wood paneling, right? Doesn't that do a lot? Like, to me, that does a
the
lot.
font choices, like the
Oh,
opening
yeah,
credits
yeah.
felt very 70s to me.
Yeah.
Like the trailer for it, obviously it's not the movie, but like the trailer for it has like this like faux grindhouse narration in a way that I thought was kind of confusing. The one thing that I knew that I was definitely annoyed by the grain looping, and I think we're right on that one. But like there was another observation I had where I was like, no, that's just me. And it was that like, no, you couldn't get that sort of detail in low light from film. You could only get that from digital. That's why Michael Mann moved to digital. You just can't get that subtle. You couldn't light a room with the CRT on film, you know? Like, but like that's not a real complaint. That's just more of an observation. That didn't really take me out of it in the way that the stuttering frames and the splotch, splotch, crescent moon shape, scratch, big splotch, crescent moon, splotch did.
Blonde, brunette, redhead. You know, it is funny that you say that, because I agree that there's like an anachronism to like the sort of like time. Like, I mean, it tells you it's 1995. Like,
Yeah,
so it gives you like a
if it just
concrete
didn't
time.
do that, maybe it would be better.
Yeah, but like, but you know, it's funny in this movie that doesn't really bother me. Like that they're only watching cartoons from like 1937. And like
That doesn't bother me either. I watched a lot of old fucking cartoons on late night television.
Well, but like my point is that like in something like I don't like this movie very much, but I gave It Follows a lot of shit for being like distracting with how out of time it was, like how it wanted to be like, it's like, we can't pinpoint a time, so we'll do things from 5 different decades, including the future. With technology that's
They're
not
fucking
real.
clamshell phones.
Yeah, and so that like pissed me. That's like one of like 5 things bad I have to say about It Follows. But like in this movie, which seems to like also sort of resist a decade that it's plainly telling you that it's in, it didn't bother me, and I don't know why. So I'm not claiming to be a consistent person.
And like 500 something days go by. Is it 1996 now? Is he still there? Is he 35 in the void still?
It could almost be 1997, in fact. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that aspect, just because I am attached to the idea of the house as Quantum House, like where like perhaps he doesn't even age. They're just, they're just stuck. They're just stuck, and that's horrific. Like that thought is horrific. They're stuck in a twilight version of their home, ageless forever. Like that's just that's see that's the elegant creepypasta conceit, and then it's like, but what if there was like a guy that turned into a wolf? Whatever. You know what I mean? It doesn't do that, but like it's just Quantum House, big fan.
Yeah, do you think it was less scary for him on day 517? I think he's just used to it.
Yeah, you're like, oh, scary phone, whatever, man.
Yeah. The scary phone's ringing again.
Yeah, you just walk past scary phone, and the voice is like, Kevin, please be afraid.
Stab yourself in the other eye. No, God damn it.
Kevin, I'm calling you on the scary phone. Kevin, please answer.
You only had so many toys, Kevin. I can only haunt so many things. I didn't really consider that it would get tedious after 500 days when you only owned like 5 toys.
Yeah, because it's hard to possess Legos. There's not a lot you can do.
What do you like? Come on. Would you just put them on the ceiling again?
That's so awesome. Being trapped in the bad vibes factory and you just get used to it.
It's like an Aqua Teen Hunger Force episode.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, isn't that kind of the plot of like the Brood Witch episode?
Little bit. There's an evil voice, yeah. Free brain surgery.
We've been talking about old cartoons a lot lately on this podcast.
We're regressing. It just happens with age.
Deeply regressing. It's funny that you bring up Aqua Teen, actually. I was like waiting for Matt recently, or he was like doing something, and I had like 45 minutes to kill, so I watched 3 episodes of Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Hell yeah. How's that hold up?
Well, okay, it was a show that like when I was a kid, there was a few shows on Adult Swim that didn't hit for me. Like I didn't dislike Aqua Teen, but I found it like difficult to follow.
Sure.
I think it's just like a lot happening, you know what I mean? And if you're not paying attention, it's going to be quite different 1 minute to the next. So like, like Ghost in the Shell didn't hit because I was too young for Robot Politics. And then like, I think this was a little too frenetic for me. But watching it now, I was like, yeah, that's funny in like a 2002 kind of way. I enjoyed it. I watched this one where, Frylock invented a shrink ray, and Shake gets his hands on the shrink ray, and they go inside Meatwad, I think, at one point, in like a classic, like shrinking yourself to go inside your friend type episode. Anyway, but I was like, yeah, this show is more coherent than it was when I was 12. That's the end of the story. It's like this show's a lot more coherent than I remember it being.
Yeah, I loved that show growing up. I rented the DVDs all the time. Eventually I owned them. I don't know. Watched a lot of that fucking show. Craig, how did you feel about Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
I remember being very confused by it as a child. I think I'd watch it late night, but like, I'd see it on, but like, there were other things that were, X-Files. right? That was also on, and I liked that more.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, like Shin-Chan was on. I like
Sure.
that more. I never really sat down and watched it, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I was way into like Newgrounds and Don Hertzfeld, so it was pretty much that was my
Totally.
personal brand at the time.
Craig, what do you think about Fang Face? So a few weeks out.
Yeah.
No,
Let me check back in.
I'm still adamant that we squander the Patreon money to buy the rights to Fang Face.
How much could it cost?
But we might
Truly.
have money left over.
It's got to be a fucking tax write off or something, or an asset that by some whatever financial instrument, like it actually would make sense for them to sell it to us for like $200. No, I
would personally, for the bit, pay up to $1,000 for the rights to Fang Face.
100%. No joke. I would contribute $333 of my hard-earned money to buy Fang Face. Like what? Like no question.
I would match Jennifer. I would put $1,000 up if I could have if we could have the rights to Fang Face.
Yeah. Okay. If that was on the table, I would 100% put up $1,000 to buy Fang Face.
Okay. Warner Brothers, $3,000 for Fang Face. Swimfans podcast at gmail.com. The inbox is open.
It's a show that barely has a Wikipedia article. It's just taking up space in your office.
You're not going to ever do anything with it.
Ball is in your court.
You want to make $3,000?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna need it once Paramount buys you.
Yeah.
You're gonna want the $3,000.
Look, you can maybe use it as some loophole, like we're not a monopoly, we sold Fang Face.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
We're splitting up. We sold it to these 3 losers who can't actually do anything with it.
Exactly. It's like they fucking did Make-A-Wish Foundation. We airdropped these 3 unfortunate children. Fang Face.
The intellectual property rights for Fang Face.
Hashtag give us Fang Face. Hashtag give Swimfans Fang Face.
Yeah.
I gave Skinamarink 4 stars. It's pretty good.
3.5 from me.
Yeah.
I like a lot of it.
Very complimentary 3.5. I know I went really hard, but like I think this movie ultimately does something very special.
Well, when a movie works, but there's like one glaring problem, it's easy to go hard. Because you're like, why? Just don't do that.
Fill an hour somehow. Doesn't gotta be good. It's gotta come out Thursday.
2 things about Swimfans. It comes out Thursday, and we own Fang Face.
We're gonna edit enough wiki pages till no one knows who owns Fang Face and then assume it's us.
We fucking homestead Fang Face.
Yeah. Colonizing Fang Face.
We're squatting on the intellectual property rights to Fang Face.
Thank you so much for listening. You can find the show wherever you get your podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're listening. Please rate, please review, please subscribe, please do all that fun stuff. You can follow the show on all the social medias. So Blue Sky, Instagram, Letterboxd, that's Swimfans Pod. You can write into the show. We just had a recommendation come down the tube to us. So if you would like to do that, you can do that on the Spotify episodes. You can do that on any of the social media DMs, or you can email the show, swimfanspodcast@gmail.com. Questions, recommendations, whatever. You can just say hi if you want. Anything that isn't AI spam is welcome. And we have a Patreon. Okay, patreon.com/swimfans. For as low as $1 a month, you can get access to the back catalog of Swimfans Patreon episodes. So if you want to become a dove, if you've always wanted to be a dove, why not now? Okay, we are at the precipice of apocalypse. Why not now? Why not listen to it now while there's still ears to hear with?
Stab yourself in the ears.
Well, where you're subscribing, you won't need eyes to see.
You can find me online, user Amons, AMONNS, all the social medias. What have I seen lately? I have not been watching a lot of movies. Okay, so I think I already ranted about Hokum on this podcast. A movie dedicated to being a 2.5-star movie at all costs. Like
Hell yeah, respect.
Like at no point did it even try to exceed 2.5 stars. So I watched the director's previous movie, Oddity. Much more like coherent. The tone was a lot more steady and effective. It gave up on this idea of being like a horror movie in the sense that it wanted to scare you, and instead was just like a movie about like fucked up ladies just like being kind of like weird to each other. It's called Oddity. I don't know if I named it. It's called Oddity. So like I think it's way steadier. I don't even understand how this was made before Hokum. It's just like it was just such a level of like it was just like a step up in terms of movie making. But yeah, I haven't been watching a lot of movies. Oddity, it's all right. Jennifer.
You can follow me on Blue Sky Diatron5.swimfanspod.com. I'm on Letterboxd Diatron. I watched Chainsaw Man the movie Reze Arc. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Wow. Did you read Chainsaw Man?
No, I watched the show though.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
No. I had the opportunity to see the Reze Arc movie at the film festival last fall, but I skipped it for something else. I heard it's very good though.
It's awesome. Sorry.
Oh no! Well, and I was just gonna say, like, formally, I really like the idea of taking arcs of a story and turning them into movies. I think that works for anything that isn't like One Piece, where the arcs are like incredibly fucking long. Mm-hmm. But like for like a normal series like Chainsaw Man, I think it is a very smart move to condense a story arc into a 2-hour film. I think that's wise.
Yeah, and like with just like the resources you have for a movie, like it looks gorgeous. It's paced really well. Like the first half and the back half have like really two extremely like contrasting modalities, and like both of them are exceptionally well done, and like they both kind of like capture the good parts of Chainsaw Man. Yeah, I was just there are parts that kind of remind me of like Michael Mann movies. Like I really liked it. Big fan. Craig?
You can find me at Craig Neeson on Instagram and Letterboxd, CraigNeeson.com. I dipped into Hokum and Oddity. I'd not seen the director's work. Again, to echo what Josh, I liked Oddity much more. I thought Hokum was just deeply conventional and so boring. Did I talk about high school? Can I talk about high school? Did I ever talk about Wiseman in high school?
Like all of high school?
No, the Wiseman documentary, High School.
Oh,
I can't remember if I did.
I don't think so.
Okay. So Wiseman was this documentary filmmaker, and he passed semi-recently. And like a lot of people that I know and respect from different points in my life were like R.I.P. to the GOAT, and I'm like, I don't know who this fucking guy is. And I watched Canopy has it seems like pretty much fucking all of his documentaries, and like he just films shit. I don't know how to explain how he swerves as a documentarian, other than he just films shit, and it seems like people don't know that the camera's in the room. So it's about 75 minutes long. It's called High School. It's from 1968, and you're just seeing a fucking high school. You're seeing children. Like one child like trying to fight like being sent to detention. You're seeing the second language class. You're seeing just things that are happening in the school, and like I think it's like fucking like invaluable. I think it was just like 5 out of 5 stars. If you're expecting something to happen or like a through line narrative, sorry, but like if you want like a document of like what this time in high school was like. You know, we're like behind like a fucking guy at one point, and they're just like, "Where's your hall pass? Where's your fucking hall pass? You got your fucking hall pass?" He's being a fucking dick about it. And then like these young girls who have made dresses, and like, you know, they're showing off the dresses that they make, and this one girl comes out, and like the person that's like judging her is like, or like the instructor or the teacher or whatever is like, you know, well, obviously she has a little weight problem, but you know, this dress that she's made is like holy shit, what the fuck, like, what the fuck, you know, like there's like there's these moments of like, what the fuck, like it, like to me it reveals like the fundamentally like carceral nature of a school. You know, the fact that it's like a little like a petri dish of like what's happening broadly societally, you know, these kids are asked like at one point like, would you join a club that's like 50% Negro, and like, you know, like some of the hands like don't go up, and it's like and then like a letter is being read because like this like Vietnam guy, I can't, it's literally the end of the film. It's not a spoiler, but there's a recitation of a guy that's currently in Vietnam at the time of the filming. She's reading this letter about this grant that he's made to the fucking like home ec class, and it's the most grotesque thing I think I've ever seen. Like just the letter, the ideology, the mix of like the glee in which it's recited and held. It's just like fucking America. It's like Donald Glover doing shit. Like, this is America. Fuck, guns in my area.
Yeah.
Shit. Like, it's just I gotta like he did one with a New York Public Library. It's like fucking 3 hours long, and I'm sure it's just like like filming fucking people at the library. I'm obsessed. Like, I really like. I'm so excited to go down this rabbit hole.
It sounds fascinating.
This is the Titicut Follies guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I saw that. I saw that movie. It wasn't not a fun time to be
That was
at Bridgewater State Hospital.
No.
No.
Wouldn't want to go to that hospital.
Nope. Yeah. That's the big one. I still have not seen that, but I'm of the understanding that it's a little brutal.
It is brutal.
Yeah.
I have seen it, but I really want to see High School. You sold me. Where did you see it?
Canopy. Folks,
Word.
Your local library. They'll give you credits to watch movies on Canopy. It's free.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Jennifer, I think about your dentist/dentist 2 review every week. I think about it's become like an intrusive thought in my head.
I'm sorry. The Dentist isn't even that good of a movie, Josh.
Wouldn't verb at that noun is always in my head now, like constantly.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's like a gift from a friend I just have for the rest of my life. Okay, if you guys haven't seen it, Jennifer's review for Dentist was wouldn't go to that dentist, and I've never stopped thinking about it.
I don't even know if that is my review for it. I think that was just a tweet I made while I was watching the movie The Dentist. It was like, tweet, watching The Dentist, follow-up, I wouldn't go to this dentist.
It's so profound. You're right. You shouldn't go to that dentist.
I would not recommend going to Corbin Burnson's character in The Dentist dental practice.
One of the posts of all time.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Okay, bye for real. Bye.